Hey YouTube, it's Andy over here at iLiketobrew. I want to wish everybody a happy Mother's Day first off. And had a pretty productive weekend here in the brewing lab. Brewed that apple wine last week and then decided that yesterday, because it was National Homebrew Day, that I was going to brew an Irish Stout. Started off brewing the stout and decided that I was going to tinker with the recipe a little bit. So I did, actually I changed it from, there's actually the label. This is Mount Mellick malt extract, Irish Stout. So anyway, so I altered the recipe, and this is actually my first partial mash. I took a pound of oats and steeped it for 30 minutes at roughly 150 degrees. After I got done steeping the oats, excuse me, I added the malt extract, and then I added 2 pounds of dextrose, and what else? Oh yeah, I put in a half a cup of cocoa, just for good measure, because I really love chocolate stouts, and I figured if I was gonna take the leap into partial mash, which I've never done before, then I would go ahead and add some cocoa in and see how it turns out. And man, this stuff smelled delicious. So that was really good. And I have a few things. I pulled out a bunch of glassware earlier to show some other people, and I have one thing I want to show you guys and see maybe if anybody else has some cool responses on it. So let me get that, and I'll be right back. Okay, so here is this really cool beer stein that I have. It doesn't have a top on it, but I picked this up at an antique store here in town for about, I think I paid the lady $6.50 for it, $6.50, and it was made, I don't know if you guys can see this, in 1971 by some lady named Connie, and it has this really great, amazing coloring on it. Like, none of these colors are screwed up at all. And it's just really nice. And along the bottom, it says, Musik und Bier, das ist mein, I don't know how to say this, Plaisir. I'm just going to go and say Plaisir. And I've tried to find a good translation of it, but obviously it says Music and Beer, this is my pleasure. It's really cool. It has this guy playing a lute, and this other guy playing... I think those are actually some sort of bagpipes. And then, of course, all these people on the side dancing. And it's really nice. I like it. I like it a lot. So anyways, anybody who tunes in and watches my videos and checks anything out, what are some really neat beer steins that you guys have? And I have got one more thing before I go. I did a video a long time ago, like in April of 2010, called Tasting the Old American Ale, and this is my last bottle. I've given a lot of this away to family members. My dad has actually drank probably like 3 or 4 6-packs worth of it. He really liked it. And this is one of the bottles, actually, that when I bottled it, had a lot of yeast sediment in it, so I drew that little Mr. Yuck on there. But I just watched that video, and I realized that I called the video Tasting the American Ale, and I never actually talked about it. I just showed you guys the head on the beer and then ended the video. Now, I cracked one of these open about a week and a half ago, and it was so good. It was just miles away from what it used to taste like. So I'm going to go ahead and crack one open right now and see if I can describe it for you guys. And look at that, the same problem I had before. I can't find my church key. Here it is. So I'm going to go ahead and crack this open. And then I'm going to pour myself a glass. And actually I'm going to use my Beatles Revolver pint glass that I have. That's a cool little glass. Okay, so obviously we got a lot of yeast sediment floating around. I'm going to give that a few minutes to kind of fall. Nice little head on it. This was a bigger beer. Like I said before, this was a Shiner Bock clone that I actually aled instead of lagered. And I don't think that yeast sediment's going to fall because the carbonation is rising so much. But, you know, a little yeast never hurt anybody. I might get some nasty stuff going on later tonight, but we'll deal. Has a really good smell. Doesn't smell very bitter at all. This beer was actually really heavy on the DME, the dark malt extract. You can't even smell the hops. Not bitter at all. This used to be a very bitter beer. I gave it to some of my neighbors, and actually had somebody not complain, but he said, you know, the only thing that he didn't really like about it was the strength of the hops. Real crisp, real bubbly, real still very carbonated after almost a year. And this was a bigger beer. With a lighter beer like a pale ale, obviously you wouldn't want to leave it in the bottle for a year before you tried it out. Little sweet, almost. I don't want to say fruity, but sweet for sure. Something there. I can't put my finger on it, but this is a good beer. It does have a lot of stuff in common with the Shiner Bock, obviously, because it's supposed to be a clone. But with the two different yeasts, or with the different yeast that I used, it's not going to taste exactly like a Bock because obviously Shiner Bock is lagered and this was aled. It's very, very nicely carbonated. It's still bubbling. It's still rising to the top. And just a really good beer. This was the first one that I made that wasn't a Mr. Beer kit. This was actually a recipe that I got from the proprietor of the homebrew shop, and it's good. I don't want to sound arrogant or anything, but this is a good beer. Props to him for sure for having the recipe. And I can only hope that my stout comes out as good as this did because, man, this is a nice beer. So, that's the American Ale. God, this is good. And, like I said before, all of you guys out there who are watching, guys, girls, whoever, you know, beersmiths, ale winches, beer steins. I know I'm not the only one who collects beer steins. I know a lot of people like the German ones. A lot of people like ones from certain areas. Obviously, you know, Germany being one of the bigger places that makes beer steins. But I really like this one. The colors on it are really, really nice, and it popped out in that antique store because the rest of the stuff in there was just crap. And when I saw that the lady only wanted like $7 for it, it blew my mind. The same antique store has got some German beer steins that are upwards of like $50 for pretty much the same thing. I think the same. I want to say they didn't even have a pewter handle lid on top. So I was really surprised that I got such a good deal on that beer stein. So until next time, I hope I see a few video responses. I want to see some other beer steins from people. I now have a few subscribers. And cheers.